Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to my teacher and my friends. Today, my group, which means Group 2, will present Chapter 6, Management, Decision and Control. What we learn in this chapter? First is provide example of decision making from different countries. Second is give example of the major affecting the decision making. Third, compare and contrast direct control with indirect control. Fourth is describe some major difference in the way the MNCS control operation. And lastly, discuss specific performance measure that used in IB. Before we go to the slide number 1, first let me introduce my group member. First is Muhammad Asri, second is Sasha Shahira, third is Hani Suraya, fourth is Nurul Irati, and lastly is Muhammad Hazim.
Introduction. Decision-making and control are two management functions that play important roles in international operations. In decision-making, the manager chooses a course of action among alternatives. In controlling, the manager evaluates results in relation to plans or objectives and decides what action, if any, to take. The company also has an array of measures and tools, and it can use to evaluate firm performances. As with most international operations, culture plays a big role in what is important in both decision-making process and control features, and can affect MNC decision when forming relationship with subsidiaries.
Global online retail. Amazon versus Alibaba. The first point is competitive strategy. Alibaba is a conglomerate, while Amazon special in business to consumer sales. Alibaba acts as a facilitator for third-party sellers, where Amazon acts as a direct merchant itself. Geographic positioning of both companies affects their potential future growth. Managerial decision-making process. The first point is involves choosing a course of action among alternatives. The second one is often linear but looping back is common. The third point is degree of managerial involvement depends on two things. First, structure of subsidiaries. Second is locus of decision making. Locus of decision making can be centralized or decentralized. What is centralized or decentralized? When decision making is centralized, most decisions are made at the top, and when decision making is decentralized, decisions are delegated to operating personnel. Decision making process. Step of decision making. For example, Ford Motor Company designed and built an offensive vehicle, the Icon, for the Indian market. In other words, they built that car to fulfill the market needed. Factor affecting decision making: authority. The first one is size of company. Largest organization may choose the centralized authority for critical decision in order to ensure efficiency through greatest coordination and integration of operations. The second point is when competition is high. In domestic situation, when competition increases, manager will decentralize authority and give the local manager greatest decision-making authority. Table factor that influence centralization of decentralization of decision making in subsidiary operation.
cultural differences in decision making. Do decision making practices differ from country to country? At some point, it differs, regardless of foreign or domestic ownership. How do French and Danish managers approach their decision-making process? French people spend more than enough time searching and evaluates their options. They tend to approach every single option with creativity and logic. They also tend to become emotionally charged with their emotions rather quickly when challenged. The nature of French people is that they tend to seek their management approval, which middle managers vie for the recognition and praise of the upper management. Middle management implementation of ideas is often seen as boring by French people. Danish managers do not spend much time searching for alternatives compared to the French people. Instead, they choose the option that can be started quickly and still receive the desired results. They are usually less emotionally involved and tend to take a straightforward approach. Co-determination. Co-determination is a legal system that requires workers and their managers to discuss major decisions. In Germany, the managers are focused on the productivity and quality of the goods and services than on managing the subordinates. It is shown that the company in Germany pursues long-term approaches. They also use the legal system co-determination to discuss major decisions. Scandinavian countries also have co-determination, but the Swedes focus much more on the quality of their work and the importance of the individuals in the organization. Research shows that Swedes are more open-minded and has informal work attitude with higher team orientation. Japanese uses 3 decision-making process. First, ring-issei, which means decision-making by consensus. Second, tatami, which means doing the right thing according to the norm. And third, hon, which means what one really wants to do. Under the system ring-issei, any changes in procedures and routines of the firm are organized by those directly concerned with those changes. The final decision is made at the top level in the management hierarchy and results in acceptance or rejection of a decision only through consensus at every echelon of the management structure. Sometimes, Japanese consensus can usually take a long time. However, most Japanese managers know how to respond to suggestions from top level and how to act accordingly. In Japan, doing the right thing according to the norm is called tatami, whereas what we really wants to do, which may be quite different, is called hone. As we can see, the French do not value time as much as the Danes. The French wants to ensure the best alternative are to put into actions, while the Danish people think that French are too complicated. While French people think that the Danes are not thorough enough while making decisions, instead, they usually act first and take advantage of the opportunities given to them. German tends to make faster decision making, have clearer responsibilities for each individual and are more willing to accept changes. As a result, Germans tend to be fairly centralized, autocratic, and hierarchical. While the Sweden's team are more transparent and less formal in decision making. As a result, decision making in Sweden is decentralized and participative.
And now, I will be explaining about TQM, which is also known as Total Quality Management. Total Quality Management is an organizational strategy and the accompanying techniques that result in the delivery of high-quality products or services to customers. To achieve world-class competitiveness, MNCs are finding that a commitment to total quality management is critical. One of the primary areas where total quality management is having a big impact is in manufacturing. One is the use of concurrent engineering or interfunctional teams work together to develop new products. Nowadays, MNCs taking a TQM approach are customer-driven. They use TQM techniques to tailor their output to customer needs, and they require the same approach from their own suppliers. And now, I'll be talking about the different kinds of the techniques of total quality management. Firstly, employee empowerment. Individuals and teams are encouraged to generate and implement ideas for improving quality and are given the decision-making authority and also necessary resources and information to implement them. Another technique used by MNCs is rewards and recognition. It ranges from increases in pay and benefits to the use of merit pay, discretionary bonuses, pay for skills and knowledge plans, and public recognition. Next, the use of ongoing training. This training takes a wide variety of forms as it ranges from statistical quality control techniques to team meetings designed to generate ideas for streamlining operations and eliminating waste. In all cases, the objective is to apply Kaizen, which means continuous improvement in Japanese. And lastly, another series of key decisions relate to MNC actions that are designed to attack the competition and gain a foothold in world markets. For instance, Ford Motor Company's decision to challenge other automakers such as Tata and to be a major player in developing markets such as Asia and Africa. Another example of decision-making for attacking the competition is provided by the global luxury car industry. Audi has made the decision to target younger professionals in established markets. This strategy is reflected in the company's new, trendy body designs. Other than that, BMW has attempted to undermine the competition by focusing on providing more options and personalization for its consumers. With a variety of engine and body options, the company offers more than 100 different combinations for its luxury vehicles in the US. And not to forget, Mercedes, which holds the largest share of the luxury vehicle market, has taken a lowest cost strategy.
Have you all experienced increasing work at some point? That will make you stressed, right? So, you have to plan or objective on what action to be taken to overcome your stress and in the same time to finish your work. First thing that you must know is what the meaning of controlling. Controlling is the process of evaluating results in relation to plans or objective and deciding what action to be made, which necessary action to be taken or not. For example, case on company BlackBerry that struggled with control issues, which the company ultimately failed in the smartphone industry due to its slow market response. In 2010, while Apple and Samsung introduced touchscreen and innovated to meet customer demand, BlackBerry continued producing phones with full keyboards. This led to a rapid decline in their market share. There has a number of control problems may arise during to become integrated and coordinated units. There are 4 problems, which are: first is the objective of the overseas operation and the cooperation conflicts. Second is degrees of experience and competence in planning vary widely among managers running various overseas units. Third is the objectives of joint venture partners and corporate management are not in accord. Finally, there may be basic philosophic disagreements about the objective and policies of international operation, largely because of cultural differences between home country and host country managers. The control process is of course critical for MNCs in the fast-moving personal computer business. There have 3 models of PC manufacturing. First model is traditional model. This model is being used until middle 1990s. This model is based on self-focus, a manufacturer order parts for the PCs. Second model is direct sell model. This model is the most common and still using until today. This model makes the manufacturer builds the computer to the customer exact specifications. The third and the last model is hybrid model. This model also the most common and still using until today. The computer manufacturer build shell, a case, power supply and USB port. Next, we go to types of control. There are 4 types of control, which are: first type of control is internal control. Internal control focuses on the things that MNC does best. For example, the company can control their environments. Second control is external control. Ensure that there is market for the goods and service. The company need to find out what the customer want and be prepared to respond appropriately. Third is direct control, the use of face-to-face or personal meeting to monitor operation. For example, top executive visit overseas affiliation to learn of problems and challenges. Lastly, indirect control, the use of report and other written forms of communication to control operation. Next, we go to approaches to control. Nowadays, we can see business at anywhere. Not only in our country, they use different approaches to control their business. International managers can employ many different approaches to control. These approaches typically are dictated by the MNC's philosophies of control, the economic environment in which the overseas unit is operating, and the needs and desire of the managerial personnel who staff the unit. MNCs will structure their process so that they are as efficient and effective as possible. Typically, the tool used to adapt to changes in the market as well as to attract competent local personnel, and also to provide for coordination of operation with the home office. MNCs control operation in many different ways, and this often vary considerably from country to country. For example, is how Great Britain firms monitor their overseas operation is different from another country or another firms. Firstly, financial records that they use are sophisticated and heavily emphasized. Next is top management only focus on major problem areas which is not involved in specific methods of control. Control that be used by Great Britain more to general guidance than for surveillance. For example, nowadays with COVID-19 cases, the company give a good practice to their employees to prevent the virus from spreading in their workplace. For their operating units, they have a large amount of marketing autonomy. Next country is German. In German, the managers employ very detailed control and focus attention on all variances. In German, they are focusing on two variants, which are first on production, second on operational efficiency. The third country that I will explain is France. In France, managers employ control system closer to that of German than to the British, which the control system very detailed and focus on all variants. Next, the control they use more for surveillance than to guidance. And also, the control they use is for process centrally administered. France is actually less systematic and sophisticated compared with German companies. The last one is US versus European. The control in US MNC focus more on quantifiable and objective aspect of foreign subsidiary, while control in European MNCs used to measure more qualitative aspect. The control in US need large central staff and centralized information, while control in European need capable expertise manager willing to spend time abroad. The control in American is less decentralized, while the control in European is more decentralized.
Performance evaluation as a mechanism control. Financial performance. Financial performance evaluation of a foreign subsidiary or affiliate is usually based on profit and loss and return on investment. The most important part of the ROI calculation is profits, which often can be manipulated by management. The amount of profit directly relates to how well or how poorly a unit is judged to perform. For example, if a multinational corporation has an operation in both country A and country B and taxes are lower in country A, the MNC may be able to benefit if the two units have occasion to do business with each other. This benefit can be accomplished by having the unit in country A charge higher price than usual to the unit in country B, thus providing greater net profits to the MNC. Simply put, sometimes difference in tax rates can be used to maximize overall MNC profits. So-called bottom line, profit or loss performance of subsidiaries also can be affected by a devaluation or revaluation of local currency. For example, if a country devalues its currency, then subsidiary export sales will increase because the price of these goods will be lower for foreign buyers, whose currency now have greater purchasing power. If the country revalues its currency, then export sales will decline because the price of goods for foreign buyers will rise because their currencies now have less purchasing power in the subsidiary's country. Quality performance. The term quality control has been around for a long time, and it is a major function of production and operations management. A quality control circle is a group of workers who meet on a regular basis to discuss ways of improving the quality of work. This approach has helped many MNCs improve the quality of their goods and services dramatically. Why are Japanese made goods of higher quality than the goods of many other countries? The reason is minimal worker error, effective use of quality control circle, use of early warning systems, use of training overkill, and use of cutting-edge technology. Personal performance. One of the most common approach to personal performance evaluation is the periodic appraisal of work performance. For example, effective employee performance in one country is not always judged to be effective in another country. Awareness of international difference is particularly important when expatriate managers evaluate local managers on the basis of home country standards. Variations are found across countries in methods used in evaluations, how the control actually is conducted, and how rewards and monitoring of performance are handled. Assessment Center is an evaluation tool that is used to identify individuals with the potential to be selected for or promoted to higher level positions. A typical assessment center will involve simulation exercise such as: first, in-basket exercise that require managerial attention. Second, a committee exercise in which the candidates must work as a team in making decisions. Third, business decision exercise in which participants compete in the same market. Fourth, preparation of a business plan. And fifth, a letter writing exercise. These forms of evaluation are beginning to gain support because they are more comprehensive than simple checklists or the use of a test or an interview, and thus better able to identify those managers who are most likely to succeed when hired or promoted. To summarize, in this video we have learned about management decision and control. Under decision making consists of managerial decision making process followed by factors that influence centralization or decentralization of making in subsidiary operations. Next is cultural difference in decision making. First, it is about how managers view time in the decision making process. Second is co-determination between Germans and Scandinavian. And lastly is the difference between Japanese and Europeans in their long-term focus. In total quality management, there are three techniques, which is employee empowerment, rewards and recognition, and ongoing training. Under approach to control, there are major differences among countries between Great Britain, Germany, and French. There are three performance measures for control. First is financial performance. Second is quality performance. And third is personal performance. Finally, we hope you learned something through this video of Chapter 6, Management Decision and Control.